The views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the host, guests, and callers who are responsible for their content and do not reflect the opinions of In Touch Radio or its staff.
All right, we're live on In Touch News Radio, reality radio, where everybody can be a star. My name is Clinton Paris, and you are straight up the middle. Regardless of what anybody tells you, listen, if you disagree with me, you must be off in a ditch somewhere, because I'm as middle of the road as a left-leaning liberal can be, and I want to welcome you to this show. Today it's been a great week. I want to thank my main man, the Honorable Edwin Lorraine, for sitting in last week for me. Did a great job. I enjoyed the show. Hope you all did as well. And I just want to thank him for being willing to come in, give up time from his beautiful family to spend here when I'm unable to be here. So I want to thank Ed for stepping in and taking care of the show last week for me. But I'm excited to be back. You know how it is. I need my weekly therapy. You know, some of y'all go to chiropractors or physical therapists, or you know, you actually get on the couch and throw your feet up in there and just, you know, drift off and explain the woes of life. I get on this station, I come on here with you all, and this is my therapy. This is where I get to unleash and let out all the pent-up frustrations that may be built up during the week, particularly when it relates to political issues that are affecting our community. And there are just so many things going on right now. To be able to grab my hands around, it's so much stuff. I mean, not from just the political races, the debt limit, developments in the Ukraine war. I don't know if anybody's been paying attention to what's happening over in Africa as it tries to figure out ways that it can reunify itself. You have this ongoing battle and denigration of our immigrants, Southern immigrants that come from South America. Other immigrants, I think, you know, certain people seem to be okay with those folks. But if you come from the southern part of our hemisphere, well, America has a problem with you unless you're picking tomatoes and lettuce and oranges. You're okay then. Also, you have this issue that is bubbling up with the, make sure I want to get this right, DJ Belzer, LGBTQ plus community. You know, I've got a couple of companies. Target got into some hot water. Budweiser. I mean, come on, this is just beer. And then some people are going after old Chick-fil-A. Just so many things that have a political landscape. And, of course, you've got all those people getting into the race on the Republican side. Democrats saying maybe we need a new person in the race. And it's just chaotic everywhere you look. Also, economic numbers coming out. Costco and other companies giving forecasts that, well, maybe, you know, spending might be changing, and concerns about the economy, interest rates, you know, have gone up and what that means. Then we get a positive job report. I think 190,000 jobs made came out this year, this month rather, in a jobs report. And just the litany of things out there that can be discussed. And I have just only scratched the surface. So hopefully over the next hour, we will get a chance to delve into some of those topics and talk about them. Professor Tony Seabrook is going to be calling in to kind of give an alternative perspective. I assume that's what he'll call it, as to ways that you can look at some of this stuff. But these are just some of the many, many things that are affecting Americans. And I'll tell you this, as we wait for Professor Seabrook to get with us, the most important thing anybody in America can ever do is vote. That is the singular thing that unifies and makes everybody equal. We all have one vote. And if you don't use it, well, you're kind of eliminating yourself from the equation. It's always baffling to me that people don't vote. Listen, I am not going to sit here and say democracy is the best form of government there is, or communism, or totalitarianism, or whether it's even a monarchy. I don't know. All I can tell you is this. This is the political system we were born into here in America. It is the system that we have. And for that system to work, well, you all must participate and vote. If you don't vote, you leave the door open for other people's influence to be greater than yours. And no time to complain about. I know I'm located down in the state of Florida. Florida has its issues, but Florida had a chance to go in a different direction during the election of between DeSantis and Gillum. And Gillum lost. And there were tons of people who didn't show up and vote in that election, and now they're complaining about some of the stuff that DeSantis has done. But guess what? Hey, that's how the cookie crumbles. But listen, we got our caller on the phone. Good morning, caller. Is this Professor Tony Seabrook?
This is.
Good morning. How are you, sir?
Good morning. I'm doing great. I just heard you mention our possible next president. Were you talking about President DeSantis? Is that who you just mentioned?
I mentioned him. I didn't mention him in that context. But let me make a note then, because I like to keep my record straight because I'll come back to it. Can we? Is that an official endorsement or just a prognostication?
Both a prognostication and yeah.
Okay, let me do this.
So
then.
let me start.
Go
there.
ahead.
I just think old Donnie's days may be numbered. I don't think he's still the leading Republican as far as presidential candidate. That's a given. Just don't think his chances are good. The Democrats have done well in just muddying Trump. He just can't shake it, and I don't think enough people will, in the end. I think DeSantis is his most, formidable foe or just the best challenger, however you want to frame it. I think DeSantis has the best chance. But in prep for this show, I don't know how I came across this, but apparently Mike Pence is going to be making his announcements next week.
Yes. He and Christie.
And,
him and Chris Christie.
Ouch. Okay, well, maybe they have a deal. I don't know what he's doing, but I thought that was interesting for Pence because Pence may be, polling for the same adults in the room that Biden tried to, pick up on or somehow make a thing. But the MAGA Republicans hate Pence, so he won't be able to pick anything off from Trump. So he has to get his pickings from DeSantis. I think they'd be vying for the same vote, although I think DeSantis, young blood, that's the culture warrior people probably would want versus a Mike Pence. I like Mike Pence, don't get me wrong. I think he's a good guy, upstanding, but he's a dry, boring, I hate to use this term because it seems derogatory, but white bread. When you hear that's Pence.
He sounds like your typical conservative. He's probably the most legitimately conservative person of all those folks. But I'm trying to figure out, and you figure, see, I don't believe that the Republican electorate is homogenous. They are not the same. And those people,
you're exactly right.
Those people supporting Donald Trump, how does DeSantis get those people over to support him? Go ahead.
I think DeSantis is playing this correct. I actually think the same thing I thought about the Democrats and the Republicans that were in power when I felt the Republicans could have done more to shield Trump from everything they were throwing at him leading up. And this is before January 6th. I just thought there were a number of things that could happen, post-election, whatever it was. I think, some Republicans said, hey, look, I'm going to turn my head. You guys do what you do. I don't really like the guy either, but, hey, he's too powerful for me to push out. We're going to let you guys just, run him over. We're going to turn our head. And I think that's what they're doing now. I think DeSantis knows something because I've noticed he has a little more spunk. He's talking with a lot of authority now. He's saying some things that he didn't say initially. He was trying to play all loosey-goosey. Hey, I hadn't even announced yet. Now, since he's announced, and this other lawsuit that Trump has going, it seems like someone's whispered to DeSantis, "Hey, look, we're going to hit him with one last coup de grace, and you have to take the reins." And I think that's what's happening because he is number two in the polling, and I believe Trump. believe Trump will concede. I mean, even if he thinks he can't make it, I mean, I know he's a jerk. He can be a jerk, Trump. But I think he even knows at some point where he probably have to give DeSantis the nod. And it will purely be up to Trump because he still wants to be known as the great one. And if he can't come out and be the presidential nominee, I think, and this may be me being naive or being whatever, I think Trump would do himself a favor and give DeSantis the nod, and then the MAGA voters. And I think some of them kind of realize, too, and I'm being tangential, and I apologize, but I do have a Navy buddy that lives up in Maryland. Big Trump. I mean, he lives on the Mason-Dixon line. I mean, the guy has a couple of acres, lives off the land. And as much as he loves Trump, now he calls him an idiot. He still thinks he did well for the country. And you can't get more MAGA than this guy. I mean, he has Trump plaques. He bought the memoirs and everything. But he calls him an idiot now. So I think there's room without DeSantis having to really cross Trump. And that's how Trump is branding him as his being disloyal. You know, Trump hates.
Right.
He's done something for you, and what? You're turning your back? You're not going to give me your total commitment?
And that wanders into where I think Pence and these other folks see getting to the nomination. And that is that I believe Donald Trump's support is from a large number of people that otherwise don't support anybody. And that's why the number of people that voted for Donald Trump was so much higher. He brought into similar to Obama, I think. There were a lot of people that had never voted, wouldn't vote. Because of Obama, they voted. And it was Hillary's turn, they did not vote. I think Trump is in that arena. I think that just because Trump is out of the race, I don't think his voters move over to another candidate. That's one. Second, Trump just doesn't know how to back down, how to stop, how to move aside. He's going to terrorize the process. Like this morning, check this out. I was listening to something this morning that said, they're not certain yet Donald Trump will commit to participating in the debates. Think about that. That he'll stand on the sideline and just chirp and chatter and post and repost and chirp and chatter. But why should he get on a debate stage? Why? So he can to have people actually compare him to DeSantis? I don't think he's going to give DeSantis that opportunity.
Right. I think he's showing them you need me more than I need you. Look
exactly. And my thought was about I think both Pence and Christie are getting into the race. I think they're actually there to target DeSantis because they don't compete with Donald Trump. Neither one of them.
Exactly.
So they're going to weaken DeSantis. They're going to spread DeSantis's potential base out even more and more. And while he has the most numbers right now, the guy's just so unlikable. And the worst thing is, and I think Newt Gingrich said it the other day, he talks down to people. He's highly educated. He's very smart. And he just talks at too high a level, as Newt Gingrich said. You know, Donald Trump, he can talk to someone with a third-grade education. DeSantis can't. You know, even as a billionaire, he says they understand. They understand him. Like he said way back when, he loves the poorly educated. You know, he gets it. You know, and I think that you know is a huge factor in how this played. But I thought Christie was getting in mainly maybe to hammer at Trump, but really he's going to pull from Pence, whatever support, not Pence, but DeSantis, whatever base he may have. You know, listen.
That seems plausible. I still think that they'll be eating at each other. They'll drop out. Chris Christie has no pull. I mean, who is he going to pull from? Maybe the CNN or the MSNBC's watching audience. I mean, he has no pull. I don't even know. I don't think they can do damage. Together they might. But, I mean, you just said it, Pence. Who's really rooting for Pence? The establishment that Okay, I think the establishment even has a hard time because
Well, I think
you can easily tap
Pence's appeal is the evangelical crowd. That's his lane. He's over with the evangelicals, and I don't think anybody else has. I hate to use the word a stronger religious, aura.
But that's kind of your thing. That's what I said. But you have DeSantis. Look what DeSantis is doing, and he's just broad brushing calling it woke. But DeSantis has just as much pull in that evangelical right because he's actually going at him in a big stage, plays really big into the election, and he has shown no fear of taking on these big corporations. And he's smart to not use religious jargon.
Right.
He doesn't want you to pay him that way. He's saying woke.
Let me, hey, Professor, I know I'm going to lose you in a little bit. Can you hold on for after the break? Because I want to get your comments about Joe Biden's fall. I know you were, I don't know if anybody jumped higher when he went down. But anyway, let's take a quick break. We come back on the other side, and let's get we'll get the professor's comments about Joe Biden's recent fall. This is In-Touch News Radio, reality radio, where everybody can be a star. We'll be right back after this quick break.
Hey, this is Agent Wright, better known as Mr. Clean. You looking for some great barbecues? Come see them two brothers in the grill, located at 423 Virginia Street, Charleston, West Virginia. We got ribs, chicken, pulled pork, brisket, collard greens, mac and cheese, baby. Come get some and get you a nice, smooth cigar. 304-550-4431. That is 304-550-4431. Come get some, baby. The Rib Man, mama, the Rib Man.
The Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity is hosting 3 fantastic parties in Tampa, Florida, and you can be a part of all the fun with their package ticket options. The package includes access to the Crimson Takeover Party at Armature Works, the Cream Jam all-white party at the Aquarium, and the Culmination Ball at the JW Marriott. Limited tickets are available for purchase online at KappaConclave2023.com. Don't miss out on this exclusive opportunity to experience all 3 events.
Call Ricky. Ask Ricky. You need medical or a lawyer? I got the man to do the legwork for you. We tried the other ones before, so believe we hunted down 813-248-6300. Everything gon' be okay. Call Ricky, he coming. He taking care of state of Florida. Grab a pen or sundown. 184-361-RICK. That's 184-361-7425. Never word from the point forward, just recline. Just ask Ricky, plus your boy statewide. Just in case you missed it, I'ma tell you one more time. 184-361-RICK. Call Ricky, ask Ricky is a legal medical referral service. The doctors and lawyers in our network are trained in handling auto injury claims and giving you the best medical treatment and recovery. Dial 1-844-361-RICK. That's 1-844-361-7425. Ricky. Ask Ricky.
In Touch Radio, the most loved station across the nation. In Touch Radio. Tell a friend. In Touch Radio.
All right, we're back live on In Touch News Radio, reality radio. I've got Professor Tony Seabrook, a co-host on the line, talking about, I guess, all right, we got to talk about it, so fine, we'll talk about it. Joe Biden sat on a wall. Joe Biden had a little fall.
I like that.
So when I saw that, anyways, you tell me your thoughts. When you saw that happen, you thought what?
I thought this guy should have been sitting, staring out the window a long time ago. He should have been Norman Bates' grandma. I put in that window in that wheelchair. How the story always. He should have been staring out the window. He shouldn't be in the seat. He shouldn't be president, but he should be gone. It's funny because it's only funny because Democrats will act like they didn't see that. Kind of like when, like if your parent were to stumble, you're not going to laugh. You're not even going to make it. Are you okay? It's always sheer concern. But someone else who sees that person trip, it's funny. But the fact that Joe Biden has stumbled up the stairs on Air Force One,
yes,
he's fallen off the bike on the same ride that every other president has, where the camera crew is falling. He's fallen on the trail. Now he's falling at a great. I mean, come on. If it were our grandparent, we'd be like, oh, okay, stop. And we call the family together. Okay, look, grandma, granddad, okay, we have to stop them from working because they're hurting themselves. We would just stop it. But you let this guy keep going.
Now, listen, Professor,
it's not
you
got sure he topples off the stage.
Now you gotta know that me throwing that out so easy for you had to be bait, right? You knew that was some bait. You know that was a setup though, because every president pretty much has fallen. That's one thing. The second thing is, how does this guy then outmaneuver Republicans on this debt ceiling negotiation then? If he is in that condition, then what about McCarthy? What about that? Because at the least I would say the debt negotiation was about a draw. Republicans got a few things to say they got some things, but for the most part, the fact that they didn't push him to the wall and make it, hanging around his neck. Let me ask you, do you think?
The thing on that.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, I understand. I'm glad you went here with it because it is a perfect segue. I think McCarthy, because when I listen to it, and who's the guy, Donald?
Yes.
And I like him. He's on the far right. I don't think he's extremely right, but I mean, he's beating that drum, and it makes sense when you listen to it. But I think McCarthy did the right thing. I've heard that whole thing, the long game. So with a Democratic-controlled Senate and White House, you're not going to get a whole lot done, especially something this big. Joe Biden, I don't think, had a whole lot to do. I think people told Joe Biden what was being said. If you listen to Joe Biden talk, there are moments of complete coherence, and then in the same speech, he just what? He comes and goes. So I don't think it's a symbolic victory for him. I don't think anyone is wooed by Joe Biden's statesmanship, his knowledge of the budget. I don't think
so if you're going to say, listen, if you're going to say it wasn't Biden behind putting this deal together, then you've got to give somebody credit. Hakeem Jeffries, Kamala Harris, who is behind. You say somebody's pulling the strings.
I'll give it up to Hakeem Jeffries before I give it up to either one of the other two you just mentioned.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, though, if it wasn't Biden, somebody on the Democratic side was able to match wits or outmaneuver or work out some dynamic that really, I think, puts Biden in a much more comfortable position until we get past the next election. But do you think, let me ask you this, though, on that fall, though, do you think there's going to be some carryover, some fallout, some real implication? Will other Democrats maybe getting a raise, or they're not going to have that family meeting you were talking about, but what action do you think, do you think something substantive will happen, or it more solidifies this guy's just too old to be president?
Well, it's one thing if it were just the speech and the gas, but you have gas and physical deterioration. I mean, when you see that, it's not once or twice. You said every president's fallen. Everybody has fallen. But when you see one person over a certain age tripping over his own feet more than, I mean, come on. We can't defend that. So, but to your point, Jack Dorsey, right after the fall, the former Twitter CEO, he's like, hey, he said this is, I don't know if it's an embarrassment. He said, but the Democrats need to open the primary. You need to have a primary because it's not fair to America.
Well, it's open. I mean, if you have candidates that think they can compete, the problem is Joe Biden is so popular with Democrats. With Democrats, you don't have a viable second candidate. I don't even know who you'd put in the race. The guy from California, he's not ready for prime time. Kamala Harris, we saw what she did. Who do they put? They don't get. There's not. They have a deep bench ready to go.
Well, I will agree. I will agree with all that. But just because he's the only one there doesn't make him popular. Trump was the only one they had. He's popular for all the wrong reasons. He's like, he's so popular. Joe Biden. I mean, come on. We're acting like there's no investigation going on.
I'm sorry. Wait. You said there's an investigation of Joe Biden going on?
What, the Biden family?
You mean no? Let's be clear. It's Hunter Biden, not the Biden family. It's Hunter Biden, right? That's not the Biden family.
No, when I hear it, it's the Biden family.
That's what they say on Newsmax and these dark corners of society. Yeah, they say all kind of things in those places. You can't go out in public and say that though. It's not true. It's not the facts.
No, we can say a whole lot of things. 'Cause that's the day and age in which we live.
Yes, you're right. But Biden himself is not. But Biden right now is under no more investigation than always has been the case. And even with the House, the Republicans have failed to really attach anything more to him. They've tried to make the computer and the
Christopher Wray won't release this document that Comer's asking for. Isn't that why? I mean, to me, this plays into why he's just like every other politician. And the thing that goes against Joe Biden, you label it popularity. He's just been in the Senate 50-plus years. But, I mean, this presidency is, I don't know who's saying, man, this guy's great. I don't know.
This guy's great. I just said it. Yeah, he's great. He kept us out of Ukraine war. That war had all the earmarks of American troops being on the front line, and Joe Biden strategically maneuvered around that and has pretty much held that place, that incursion by Russia at bay through that strategy and rallying the Europeans to support Ukraine. But he kept American lives off the line.
You think in a presidential primary, they're going to say Joe Biden kept us out of a war?
Oh yeah, that's going to be one of the. That's kind of like a back pocket. That's a back pocket thing to appeal to veterans, because we put a lot of veterans from Vietnam to Iran, Iraq and Afghanistan into bad situations, and veterans will like the idea that, hey, listen, when other countries got into a bad situation, we didn't just throw American lives at it. I think that's going to be that appeals to veterans. We made them fight their own fight.
As a naval officer, I think DeSantis as a naval officer can override that. I kept you out of the war.
Let me say what. Okay, on his naval career, he was a non-combat JAG officer. Nobody likes them.
Right.
No rank and file military guy likes the JAG officer that comes to prosecute them. So he's not, in fact, and you see him, he's not bragging about his military career. You're not going to hear a lot about Harvard and the Navy, because you know why? He's too polished. See, Rick Scott looked weird. He stumbled around. He had a little bit of a speech impediment. He could relate. There was just throw his Navy hat on and off he would go. DeSantis has not made being military a key part of the fabric of who and what he is. So I'm going to be surprised if that's where he goes. I only got a couple more minutes, Professor, real quick. Let me ask you, do you have any thoughts about the political fallout of what's happening with these boycotts or backlash for corporations regarding their support of Pride Month? Targets, had the swimsuit thing and people ran in stores tearing it down, and Budweiser's got people are saying we're going to boycott our beer. And then, of course, Chick-fil-A hired a D&I vice president. You think there's going to be some backlash long-term from that?
Backlash, well, DeSantis will paint this as a Biden administration accomplishment. This is how he's tearing down the culture, the wants, values that didn't support any of this, because he can easily point it at the sexualization of youth. And that's that's what's undergirding all of this. Democrats won't use that term, sexualization of youth. They're saying love who you are. So it's just a word game. But when this hits the bigger stage, I think the words then have more weight. When you say you're sexualizing youth, that's the reason why people are so up in arms. That grabs a little more than two adults loving who they are. Because everyone's okay with that. That's nothing new. That's going back to biblical times. Adults loving who they are. Now, they've had some other things, boy lovers, as some movies call it. That's also been biblical. So,
Yeah.
But where we are now, there's going to be a lot of backlash. And that's why I think that's DeSantis' biggest, one of his, I think, cards that he has, what he's done in Florida.
Well, Professor, you started the show on DeSantis, and somehow you got to the last part of your comments. Back to DeSantis again. I want to thank you for taking time out from classwork to jump on here with us this morning. Hey, keep educating the youths of America. Thank you very much, sir. And you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
All right, take it out, Professor Tony Seabrook. Listen, we're going to come back on the other side. Hopefully take some calls. The number is 813-444-9588. If you're watching on Facebook Live, the number is right there on the screen. We're going to take this quick break and come back and clean up all the misrepresentations that we all just heard. This is In Touch News Radio, reality radio where everybody can be a star. We'll be right back after this quick break.
Tell a friend to listen in. It's In Touch Radio, reality radio.
Jazz at Miss Connie's House is brought to you by Ray Williams Funeral Home, providing the highest quality, professional, and caring service for your family. Call Jeffrey Rose at 813-253-3419. That's 813-253-3419. Or visit him at 301 North Howard Avenue, Tampa, Florida. Ray Williams Funeral Home for the finest care and quality service.
Who doesn't love being number one? When your team's dominating the standings, or your favorite band rocks the charts at number one, it feels good, right? Kind of like how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call Herman White at 961-6661. That's 961-6661.
This is Attorney Clinton Parrish. Accidents are beyond your control, but deciding who will represent you is your decision. If you've been injured, call me at the law office of Clinton Parrish for a free consultation. 813-413-7924. Offices Riverview.
We're playing your favorite old school. Today's R&B. With a smooth touch of jazz. You're listening to In Touch Radio.
All right, we're back live on In Touch News Radio, reality radio. Everybody can be a star. My name is Clinton Parrish. I'm one of the co-hosts here on the show, and it's a battle sometimes keeping it all straight. But there's so much happening. I want to touch on a couple of things real quick. First of all, if you want to call in, please do. Your comments are welcome. The call-in number is 813-444-9588. Here's what I recommend you do. Let's write that number down and save it in your phone. Okay? You can save it straight up the middle, In Touch News, however you want to save it. But save it now. And that way, when you're sitting there and I say something which you agree with probably most of 99% of the time, you can call in and just say that. Hey, I agree with you. Better yet, if you have something there's something I say and you disagree with, you can call in and talk about that too. I love that. I promise Scouts honor. I won't set any traps. I won't trick you. Your comments are welcome just as they are. Again, the call-in number is 813-444-9588. Also, if you're listening to the show on your radio, you can watch the show on your cell phone. Go to the In Touch News Facebook page. Boom, the show pops right up. You can also catch us on In Touch News YouTube as well. So you heard me talking with Professor Tony Seabrook in the last couple of segments about handicapping the race, and the Republican race is spreading out wider and wider, and I gotta believe that there's some actual Trump strategists encouraging spreading that race out. I would not be surprised to find out Donald Trump has cut a deal with Chris Christie. And here's the deal: Chris Christie, go get in the race and cut into some of DeSantis' support. And when I become president again, you'll be my attorney general. I could see that happening. I could absolutely see that. You would be my attorney general. I don't know why Chris Christie would think I wouldn't go along with, that program. Some of the other folks, Tim Scott, go get in the race, and, cut into DeSantis' little support base there. And when I get to be president again, you'll be my Secretary of State. I could just see that. And so a lot of these folks I see in the race currently on the Republican side, they're not running for president. They're running for other offices in the cabinet to play itself out. Going back to what's happening on the Democratic side, Joe Biden falling down, man, that just it made him look old. But if he's so old and incompetent, how did he just handle the Republicans so well in the debt negotiations? As you all know, we were steamrolling towards a credit crisis, meaning America's credit card was about to hit its credit limit, and bills could not be paid. And so as a result of that, they had to raise the debt limit, which they've done numerous times over the years. In that negotiation, though, first of all, Joe Biden stonewalled the Republicans, and forced them to cut a deal with each other. That's the first thing he did. So that when McCarthy got around to negotiating with him, McCarthy would be in a weak position because his support base is so divided. Thankfully, when Nancy Pelosi was able to negotiate anything with Republican presidents, she was able to do it from a position of strength because she had so much support. Well, McCarthy didn't come in with that. He comes in with people looking over his shoulder saying any minute we may call for a vote to remove you. That's one component of it. The second component of it is he knew there were things that the Democrats, or rather Biden, could give up that really don't impact anything. We really don't need to increase spending over the next year and a half, 2 years. So agreeing not to increase spending, that wasn't a concession, because spending doesn't need to be increased. There are billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars in COVID relief money still unused. No big deal to agree not to use that. Because really, honestly, we're out of the COVID crisis. We have COVID issues. COVID is around, and we need to deal with COVID. But there's no COVID crisis wherein we need those funds readily available to be pumped into the economy. Giving that away, that was a complete non-factor. Check this out. They agreed to some increased Medicaid work requirements. I don't think there's anybody in America that says when it comes to people who are able-bodied and healthy trying to find and agreeing to go out and work in exchange for receiving the assistance so that they can make it and get by, I don't think anybody objects to that. So agreeing to that, again, no big thing, no big deal. So Biden really didn't take any hits. McCarthy, here's the biggest issue that Republicans don't like showing. They don't like showing that they're willing to work with Democrats. Joe Biden forced McCarthy's hand. He did what Joe Biden has always done. And I know that there are people that, he's incompetent, he's old and all this stuff. Guess what, though? He keeps getting things done. He keeps getting legislation passed. He keeps out negotiating the Republicans when need be. And if that comes with a couple of gaffes in press conferences, or he stumbles like older people stumble, I'm not going to sweat over that. So anyway, we got a caller calling in. Good morning, caller. Where you calling from and what's your name?
This is Carter Trucker calling from Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, good morning, Carter. Now, hold on. We can't just let it slide. A lot of folks say they from Atlanta, but they somewhere else. Now, were you in Atlanta? Or are you like what, the Cobb, Buckhead, or Stone Mountain? Where are you exactly?
Well, Cobb County. I live in north of Atlanta, so right. Up in Cobb County, yeah.
Okay, all right, then, good. Carl, what's on your mind this morning?
Yeah, man, that's just really rough how the professor just beats up on Joe Biden stumbling. But I mean, I'm not gonna go through the things that Trump did that really made him look more incompetent than Joe Biden falling. So
yeah, well, Trump, all he has to do is talk, and he looks incompetent. I mean, right. You're quickly like, what is this guy talking about? But what did you think though when you saw him fall?
Well, I didn't see him fall. I heard about it, whatever. But like you said earlier in your opening, all the presidents they're going to stumble somewhere. They're going to trip. They're not watching their feet. They're going to have a long day. They're tired. I mean, some of them just they have better times and better days. So they're going to have a little mishap here and there. So. That's anybody that's in the limelight as a president. You're going to find something that he did or he didn't do, and it's going to become a big deal.
Do you think that him falling makes the impression that he's too old to be president kind of more viable? But yeah, I see now. He looks like he's too old.
Well, no, because you don't need to walk in order to be a president. You just have to have a good mindset and have good people around you that can help you make the decision to run the country. So him walking with it, you give him a wheelchair. I mean, but the things that he's done for this country or whatever, and how he keep the country going forward, just like the debt ceiling. I mean, he really, put McCarthy, and he got McCarthy and got him on board with that. So, and he was, going the whole opposite direction. And all the crazies with the Republicans or whatever, he just shut them guys out. So he was able to do something and keep our country going. So,
right,
him stumbling whatever is not a big thing with me. And anybody that really knows what a president is supposed to do.
Yeah, let me ask you also. It's alleged that next week, Chris Christie and Mike Pence will be getting into the presidential race on the Republican side, and this gives them, I don't know how many candidates now, maybe a dozen or so people in the Republican side. What are your thoughts about how that impacts the Democratic race? Because all those people every day are going to do something that dominates the media. So every day there's going to be something said about one of the Republican candidates to potential voters. And that's going to undercut, I think, Joe Biden's ability to command media attention without having to pay for it. So do you think it's beneficial or detrimental to Joe Biden that so many people are getting in on the Republican side?
Well, that's a two-side. That's a two-side thing there. It can, but long as he, I think that long as he stay focused and change the strategy of his campaign.
Well, they've got to get attention somehow. Every day somebody on that Republican side is going to have a quote or something running on the news. And so Biden is going to have to. So would he benefit from actually having one or two people? I think there are two people in the race on the Democratic side right now, having a couple of more people jump in so that there's actually more discussion among Democrats, getting Democrats motivated so that we're not just sitting around, on our hands until time to go into the, after the primaries, and then we've got to get motivated.
Right. Okay. Now, I think I don't think he should bring anybody else in. I think he should just focus on what he have done for the country and get the Democrats more rally behind him. Get the Democrats more rally behind him, and because I don't really see a candidate that's gonna beat him, but you may pull the votes away from him.
I would like to see Newsom get in the race. He's young. See, what you want to do is run a guy now who'll be ready in 4 years. And so you run him now to kind of get him introduced to the country, make him a player like a Newsom or somebody, so that they're ready to go when, we get to the next election cycle. That you're not just, getting a completely brand new person.
Well, you got this Kennedy guy, and you don't hear anything about him.
Again, right, like I said, we need somebody there's some excitement that brings people to the table. So, well, listen, Carl, I appreciate you listening in. Appreciate you calling as always. Hope you enjoy your time in Atlanta. DeKalb. Hey, man, catch up with you soon.
All right, man, y'all, great show, man. Keep up the good work, man, and pass a message to the professor. Say, look, leave my president alone, man.
I like that. Somebody claiming Joe, and he's my president too, and he's the professor's president, whether he likes it or not. Listen, this is InTouch News Radio, Reality Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back on the other side, we're going to wrap this thing up. Let's finish up my therapy. I want all my time. You go get your massage. You want all your time, right? I want all my therapy time this morning. We'll be right back after this quick break.
Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity is hosting 3 fantastic parties in Tampa, Florida, and you can be a part of all the fun with their package ticket options. The package includes access to the Crimson Takeover Party at Armature Works, the Cream Jam all-white party at the Aquarium, and the Culmination Ball at the JW Marriott. Limited tickets are available for purchase online at KappaConclave2023.com. Don't miss out on this exclusive opportunity to experience all 3 events.
Hi, I'm Angela Birdsong, and during the week, they call me the Medicare lady. I help people successfully transition onto Medicare, sometimes Medicaid. I also help people with life insurance, long-term care insurance, and annuities. Please do not try to navigate Medicare without me. It's complicated. 813-476-4837.
Who doesn't love being number one? When your team's dominating the standings, or your favorite band rocks the charts at number one, it feels good, right? Kind of like how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call Herman White at 961-6661. That's 961-6661.
All right, we're back live on InTouch News Radio, Reality Radio, where everybody could be a star. I want to thank my main caller, Carl, for calling in and chatting with us a little bit about some of the things he took issue with, the professor put out there about Joe Biden. So I don't think the age means what it used to mean. I like to look at results. I really do. And I'm just so excited by how he handled the debt negotiations. At no time did it appear to be not under his control. The meetings, the tempo, the pace, the resolution, resolving it before the deadline, all those things implied a good control of the whole process and, as you can see, the outcome. And then, of course, on the backside, the actual vote itself produced a great result. And I think that's something that should be reassuring to America about Joe Biden's leadership. So the fall, it's optics. It's pretty bad optics. But I got to believe that it will take a lot more than that to say we need somebody else. And better than that, the Republicans need to get a better message. I'm not sure what their message is right now as to why we put you in charge. The best message they have, I think, is on economy. And if I'm reading right, coming from DeSantis, it is going to be his fight line is going to be on social issues, particularly I think on some of the woke issues that he's claiming are woke issues, diversity and inclusion, the LGBT plus community issues, and embracing that. The professor used a word that I've heard in Republican commentary, and that's the sexualization of children. And, of course, that's the presumption or on the premise that somehow people are doing things in a particular way to over-sexualize children. I don't know where that's coming from. There are real issues with gender and sexuality that kids go through. It doesn't happen the day you turn 18. And presuming or pretending that it does, I think is not fair. It doesn't. Maturity and physical maturation and puberty and exploration, all that stuff starts happening at a much younger age than that. And the reality of it is it includes things that are not always as traditional as we've tried to make America out to be. Everybody, even though I want them to be straight down the middle, they're not. I want everybody straight up the middle, straight down the middle, straight as you can be. It's not. There are divergent spectrums of our existence, not from race, but also in our height and our weight and all things about us. And it would be silly to think that does not also apply to sex. One day on this show, I'm going to take time to talk about the difference between sex and gender. Because, and just quickly, I'll just say, gender is a social construct. It is a construction of our society. Your sex is biological. And we'd have to be, I think, clear and honest about the differences and how we look at them. On the gender side, societal view of gender has changed and morphed. I'll give you a great example. Go back 50 years, men only wore their hair a certain way. Fast forward, men now wear their hair all kinds of ways. And men now wear earrings and other forms of jewelry. And it has nothing to do with their sexuality. It is a reflection, though, of the expansion of how we look at gender. We're more open to more things being included than just the narrow. And that's my ad hoc, made-up definition sitting here behind this microphone. So don't anybody go try to look it up on Wikipedia or anything. You won't find it there. But gender is something that we have to be careful that we look at as society, how we compare that to sexuality, which is biological, because biological things are less controlled by the individuals. Those are we're born with some of those things to have to deal with them, and there's a reason for that. I'm not smart enough to know what that reason is. I just know that all things happen for a reason. But listen, it has been really exciting to be here with you all again, back in this seat here on this Saturday. Spring summer is off to a fast start. No temperature heating up. It's a great time to get outside, do some exciting stuff. And also, before I get out of here, I want to congratulate my cousin, Debbie Moreland. She is getting married up in Jacksonville, Florida. Wish her well in that endeavor. Listen, no matter where you are and what you're doing, make your day count, because the only thing we have really that we control is now. Again, appreciate you all joining in. It's been wonderful talking with y'all. And listen, be safe, and I will see you back here again next week on In Touch News Radio, reality radio where everybody can be a star. See you next week.
like how it feels